Hello, everyone. Luca Mino here with Frank Gregory Ford. Once again, this is Global News Update on TLB TV, where we give you, once again, complete backstage and up-to-date info on the developments as they are occurring in the world today. Greg, it's a pleasure to have you back, and we may as well get rolling because we got a lot to talk about, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, and only a half hour to do it in. All right, so let me see, where are we going to start? Okay, we've got three things that are going on that are important in the world, as far as I can tell, and as far as what my sources tell me. Has anybody noticed that, about those two ships colliding, that U.S. warship, state-of-the-art warship, and a great big lumbering, slow-moving, massive Philippine container ship? Well, has anybody noticed how that has dropped off the news circuit? Okay, well, here's why. That big lumbering Filipino cargo container was actually carrying live people, okay, on board, as in for the work labor pools, and they're all out of Asia, and those folks are all being held in those containers. And surprise, it was part of Hillary Clinton's human trafficking circuit and syndicate. Okay, yes, that's why nothing more was said about that. I mean, a man of war gets hit broadside, and U.S. sailors die. But you can see where they are on the list of importance, and that ship is on the list of importance of things. Okay, because they don't want that scandal coming out. That's the same scandal that consumed Chelsea Clinton, okay, and Hillary Clinton. All right. So yes, Hillary, besides being a drug dealer, a murderer, a lying super thief, and she's now in human trafficking, and of all things, and this is, I can't forgive her for. I can forgive her almost for everything else. She's into child pornography. All right. That's going around the world in a big way. The media is not carrying this information. And she's also into puppy mills. Okay, puppy mills. Oh, man, that takes the cake right there. That's the frosting on the cake, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, here we go. That's just a recent update on, we ought to have a show that just goes for the Hillary updates. Everybody knows Trump can act like a buffoon, and he's definitely not disappointing anybody this week. But here, okay, I want everybody to take note of this, okay? This is what I was given. It's called the ring, all right? Putin in Russia and Clinton, and that's Hillary Clinton. Yes, her husband does know about all of this stuff, but, hey, he's had his day. And then that part of that ring goes next to China, and next to North Korea, and back to Russia again. That is the ring, okay? The ring is running everything in the world right now, all right? No, it's not Donald Trump. No, it's not Bernie Sanders. No, it's not the Rothschild family, okay? Although they're not too far behind, okay? That is the ring that's running everything. Hence, right now, you're just liable to see a missile launch in the next 2 weeks, okay? The next 2 weeks are going to bring us Pee Wee in North Korea, okay? And he's still got that strange haircut, okay? What is it about hair that makes these guys go nuts, okay? We've got Donald Trump acting like an idiot, and we've got Pee Wee in North Korea acting like a real idiot, okay? So, aside from 5-inch lifts on his shoes, he's a maniac. But maniacs know which side the bread is buttered on. And of all things, I just found out he's taking his orders from not only Putin, but China is backing him up, okay? Yes, that's China, as in China controls all the energy flowing into North Korea. So, in other words, China could stop all of this stuff right now. Okay, right, right this instant. You can actually build a future. Okay, if China were to assert itself, they own and control all the natural gas supplies. Okay, of North Korea. In other words, with this motion right here, okay, I just I could control all of North Korea. That's shutting the gas off and the PNG gas lines from China into North Korea. That would stop them cold. All right. Period. That's how tough it is to control North Korea. Everybody's all hand waving and being a weak sister about this whole thing. Forget it. Doesn't work. Okay. But oddly enough, I just found out this morning, Hillary Clinton. What is it about Hillary Clinton? I mean, you take one look at her, you can just see she's just madder than a shithouse rat in August. Okay, but everybody's taking their orders from her. Okay, what does she have? Oh, okay, I'll tell you if you were wondering. She has control over the opium. Okay, the opium issue this week. Has anybody noticed how we're in the middle of an epidemic? Okay, a drug epidemic of opium. Okay, and opium byproducts like heroin. Okay,
Mm.
well, yeah. Guess what? Okay, guess who's running that? Mr. Bush. Do you have any suggestions? The Bush family? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, but yes, the CIA is right in the middle of our opium epidemic, and of course, China is behind pushing that opium epidemic. All right. Gee, imagine the Chinese and opium being involved. All right. I'm sure the Chinese have something to say after the massive opium wars that went on in the 19th century. I'm sure they do, and they don't forget. That's one thing about the Chinese I got to give them. They don't forget. All right. So that's where our problems are coming from. Is the CIA, the Cocaine Importation Agency, all right, and China, all right, China, and Hillary Clinton. Funny how when Hillary gets into trouble, all of a sudden here's all these redirects. Am I correct, Luca?
Absolutely. And we cannot do a show without saying those words, CIA, all the time. I did a rant about it this morning at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, that was a fine rant too, by the way. All right. So no, that was greatly appreciated. And I support everything you said on your rant. You ought to play it sometime for the listeners.
I think what we're going to
Okay.
do, is we're going to play we're going to pause for 3 seconds and allow me to insert just a little bit of it. Let's have a listen. Government, if you look at what the word government means, it means control of the mind, okay? Government works in natural law as parents do, and the population turn out to be their children. And we in America meaning the love of riches, are doing exactly, we're living exactly how our parents are acting. Look around you. People go 30 miles across town to visit friends, but they don't even know who lives next door. We are impersonal, we're deceivers, we're incapable of love or truth. All we do is judge, because it's easier to judge. It's an image of fire and ice. No balance, no middle, no health, no justice, no integrity, no understanding, no tolerance. Our government has taught us well. So what else is on the agenda? What else you got?
Okay. All right. So we know where the opium is coming from now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Really everybody ought to make the pilgrimage to Carmichael, California, and to the graveside site of Gary Webb, and thank Gary Webb for giving his life to notify the people of the United States. Yes, that's where your opium is coming from, is the Central Intelligence Agency. They've always been drug dealers since their inception. They have been drug dealers. Okay, everybody says, well, yeah, gosh, they're fighting terrorism. They're fighting terrorists all over. They're keeping those commies all backed into a corner. Bad old commies. Oh, really? Okay. Anybody care to ask what George H.W. Bush okay, whose father actually helped start the CIA with that was Prescott Bush, who started it with Averell Harriman. Okay, all right. Yes, they were mimicking the European big money families that had set up their own intelligence services, like the Rothschilds, the British, the Russians. Okay, they had fabulous, really effective intelligence services. Well, guess what? We sort of had one during World War II called the OSS. Well, that supposedly morphed into the CIA. And the CIA took over drug dealing for the Chinese nationalists that were being driven out of China, okay, and they had to pay their troops. So what did the CIA say? Go ahead, import all kinds of opium products. We'll sell it to Americans. Hey, good idea. We'll sell it to Americans, and that way Chiang Kai-shek can pay his people, okay, with Americans being addicts, all right? Yeah, no, the Great Gatsby sounds like it was a fictional character. Got news for you, folks. He wasn't fictional. Okay, he was real. And so, yes. So then Vietnam comes along. Uh-oh, why is all this heroin coming in from the Golden Triangle on Air CIA? It's because the CIA is a drug runner, folks. Oh God. Okay, and guess who they got addicted? Okay, U.S. American troops in Vietnam. Oh, the CIA wouldn't do that to our own boys who were being drafted, didn't really want to be there, and then they get them addicted on top of that. Oh, 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 I'm so sorry for popping a few bubbles here, but yes, the CIA is out of control. It's always been out of control. It's never been brought to heel. Yeah, the church committee. Oh yeah, a few others, Bob Graham and a few others tried to do something. Hey, that's who's running the United States right now, is the CIA. Okay, why even bother with a Congress and a Senate? Okay, and House of Representatives. All right, why? It's just if you want to find out something, go ask the CIA. Okay, hey, you know me. Everybody knows me. When I stood up against torture, and I was renditioned. This was in Iraq at Abu Ghraib prison. Renditioned, tortured. And you know what? This last week, I found out the courts are so afraid of what I had to say on the recommendation of the agency and the L3 Corporation. Say hello to Israel, folks. The L3 Corporation. I was told no, they can't even hear my case because of all the sensitive nature. It's okay to torture somebody, a U.S. citizen, but hey, they can't have their day in court. Okay, when was the last time you heard of somebody not being able to at least get a case in the court? Well, that's what our country's turned into, is a mess. Right now, we're seeing a mess. We find out, hey, the most secret information known in the United States is who votes in the elections. We've got some bozo by the name of Trump, okay, who, by the way, yeah, he is working for some very interesting, shady people, right, Donald? Okay, as in Russian Israeli mob, all right, the Rim, okay. Well, guess what? He wants to find out all the personal information of everybody who voted in the last election. Okay, does that sound sinister to anybody out there? Boy, that sounds really sinister to me. I know how these efforts work. And of course, immediately, there's how many states just stepped up and said, oh, sure, yeah, we'll give you that. I mean, hey, remember what Lenin said, folks, capitalists will gladly sell you the rope that's used to hang them. And that's what we've got here, okay? We've got this buffoon who doesn't even, basically know how our country operates, all right? And here he is, okay, selling your privacy out, giving everything you hold dearly, and basically warning you about voting from now on. Well, Mr. Trump, what would you say if I had all kinds of people call me that had voted for Jill Stein? Okay, is that a threat or what? All right. So here's what I recommend for the next week. Okay, because we might have only 2 weeks left. All right, that's how this attack is going to come from North Korea. Okay, no warning, know nothing. If Hillary Clinton decides that she's in trouble, she's going to pick up the phone and call Pee-wee in 5-inch lifts, and she's going to tell him, hit that button. And don't think that he won't hit that button, folks. Okay? Yes, he will hit that button. So we might only have 2 weeks left, but in the meantime, I think that we should all go about uh, doing something about the child pornography rings that are being used to compromise politicians all over the world. Just, if you want to find out how to stop it, just ask the agencies, okay? Or John Podesta, all right? I think everybody knows who devil worshiper is, John Podesta, okay? Heads up the Hillary campaign, okay? The Clinton campaign. Yeah, that John Podesta. And by the way, forget all this super spy stuff and super spook stuff about manipulating, the election. Oh, I mean, what? The United States has never manipulated anybody else's? Okay, talk about being a bunch of crybabies. We get our own manipulated, and everybody comes unglued over it, especially Hillary. Okay, what does she expect? But hey, in the meantime, don't worry about that. Okay, we've got bigger fish to fry. Certainly the GRU and the KGB. Excuse me, I'm dating myself. Okay, now what are they called? The FSB and the SVR. Certainly, they've been hacking into Estonia's system. They hacked into the Ukraine system. Okay, and they've been manipulating effectively our system. They're so good at walking into our system that they've been in the Department of Defense's system forever. And hell, there's hardly a whisper even spoken about it when somebody even discovers it. And I told you on this show, folks, how to stop all this. Do you think I've gotten one call from the government on how to stop, computer hacking? All right, I even gave you the computers, the patent site to go to. Okay, but here's another one. Speaking of that subject matter, here's another one I have to put out. Watch your nuclear reactors. Okay. Yes, I'm getting it. Okay. I spoke to one of the world's leading nuclear whistleblowers, and he said, there is virtually no security. No security. I didn't say partial security. I said no security on our nuclear reactors. Guess what? When you lift those rods out of their containment, chambers, okay, and you lose cooling for just a few moments, guess what happens? Okay, and we don't have hardly any security on our nuclear reactors, physical or cyber warfare kind of security. And then check out our water systems. So between electrical generation, our water production and control systems, and our nuclear reactors, we've got a real problem facing us. But hey, the folks, that gave us 9/11, they like it that way. Remember what happens when everybody that says, "Oh, well, terrorists just attacked us. We better find out what the CIA says about it." Hey, the same folks that brought you 9/11, the CIA and the 19 hijackers, all on contract. What do they call it? Contract operators, I believe that's what their title was. Okay, and how much money were they given for incentive? What, a couple of $100,000 to pull that job off? Well, guess what, folks? If you want to find out, go to this pompous ass Mike Pompeo and ask him if they've even managed to tell him. And oh, by the way, last night on a closing shot, I heard Donald Trump say there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. That's why the agencies didn't know what they were doing. Well, Mr. President, okay, hopefully somebody from this show, listen to this show, tells you, yes, there were weapons of mass destruction. Go read my court case to the United States Supreme Court. You can read all and hear all about weapons of mass destruction, okay, that were in my court case that I discovered, notified, reported, and of course, what happens when I reported that and torture going on in Abu Ghraib? I was renditioned and tortured, okay? So you know how I feel now. So please, Mr. Trump says there were no weapons of mass destruction. I hate to say this, folks, but if your government says anything or your president says anything, please do not believe it. All right? Do not believe it. You know, for free, I'll even tell you on my next show what kind of weapons of mass destruction they were, that where all the government service numbers are, and who the family was that owned the company. Excuse me. Did somebody say Carlisle? The Carlisle Group Limited, okay, that sent those weapons there. And all of a sudden, here those weapons are turning up in Syria, okay? And we won't mention the fact that nuclear detonators that were designed in Los Alamos, and you want to find out how I found out how those were designed, just check to see who worked on those, engineered those nuclear detonators, okay? Those slow burn pits, okay? Nuclear pits, all right? That's the key word in all of this. Find out, okay? Just find out. So that should tell you how dangerous we are, and you know, the dangerous times we're in right now, okay? There is no court action. There is no law protections, all right? You're sitting ducks because you have not listened to people like myself, all right? People that have been through it, been to the war, fought this terrorist war for, what, 3 decades now, okay? You choose to listen to these bimbos on CNN, okay? And these lying sons of bitches like James Woolsey, okay? By the way, he does back up my story about the weapons of mass destruction, okay? So, and then how many millions of you turn right around and vote for the person who brought us to the brink of this destruction, Hillary Clinton? How many of you idiots voted for her, okay? I'd love to hear. Please call in, okay? So that's what's going on right now, okay, Luca? It is very, very touchy where we're at right now. We're in the hands of that murderous lunatic, Hillary Clinton, and Shorty is standing by in North Korea, Pyongyang, to hit the button. You know, does that sound precarious or tenuous? Okay, well, it should. That's what I have to say. You know, and by the way, in my closing notes, okay, as you folks all know, I used to be a doctor and a pretty good one, okay, not before I got injected with MK Ultra drugs, all right, as they do to former intelligence people. Okay, here we have something called Lyme's disease, okay, Lyme's disease. And I bring this out because I saw the most horrific video last night, okay, and a program on it, okay, Lyme's disease. Everybody better pay attention to this Lyme's disease. It is the precursor condition for something called Alzheimer's, okay, something called Lou Gehrig's disease. Oh, what is it? Babiosis, okay, dementia. All right, yes, it's carried by ticks, all right, actually several species of ticks, and it was engineered in a place called Anthrax Island, okay, but they changed the name. They gave it a good name. It's called Plum Island, and it was used and piggybacked into the systems of rats, wharf rats, Norwegian Norwegicus norwegicus, okay, type rats, and those rats, okay, were turned loose in the ocean and allowed to swim ashore, okay, in a place called Lyme, Connecticut, okay. Well, folks, guess what? There's a national epidemic, and the big pharma is making tons and tons of money off of this. And they've convinced the medical boards of anybody that comes to the aid and distress of people that are affected with Lyme's disease not to treat them properly, all right? Because all the conditions that this brings on, okay, and I just gave you several, there's several more, all right? Those conditions, okay, will keep you dragging in to see these pimped out doctors, okay? These pimped out health professionals, as I like to call themselves. And guess what? You won't get better. You will get sicker and sicker with this epidemic that is now sweeping North America. And it's also sweeping across Europe, headed towards Asia, all right? So, you know, I just found out, please, demand from your representatives, if you can even reach those and contact those pimped out losers, okay, that, hey, forget all this health insurance. It's making everybody sick intentionally, okay? You want the program that Dr. Ford, okay, on the Liberty Beacon recommends, and that is the same program that all our politicians have. See, there's no thinking, no thought process required, okay? You know, everybody gets the same health care program since they're all paying for it, that the politicians get that don't pay for their health care. You know, this representative, what was he, a senator that was shot, you know, Scalise, okay? Look how many surgeries he's had, and they've flown in the very best surgeons the money can buy, okay? He hasn't paid a dime for it, not one, okay? And never will. None of our politicians will, all right? So guess what? I want everybody to write the representative and say, you want the Liberty Beacon medical program, all right? The Liberty Beacon medical program that says, hey, you can get all the best quality health care in the world, money can buy, okay? And that is the one sponsored by the representative of the Bull Moose Party, Dr. Gregory Ford, all right? So good. That should put you on a straight and narrow. And oh, by the way, I will deal with if I get elected, okay, as president next time around, or my representative does, I will deal with this heroin project and this opium epidemic that we have. I will deal with it, okay? And also the people that gave it to us. Right, Hillary? Right, George? Okay? Yeah, we're going to find out how that came to American shores and has infected, what is it? How many people are ODing an hour now, Luca? 17 something an hour? 17 people an hour are ODing on this? So, hey, that's what I have to say that on this beautiful day, okay, on the Pacific Ocean, from the left coast. That's what I have to say about all of this. And please, trolls don't apply, okay? I want to hear from some thinking, smart, active people that are willing to take their country back, all right? Get it out of the hands of these maniacs, that will gladly cut their parents' throats, to go from a GS-14 to a GS-15, all right? I want to hear from some real people, okay, that are willing to stand up for their country, all right? I don't want to hear any more fear about the schema, death camps, and all this kind of stuff. Hey, this is what I want to hear about, is how we're going to take this country back, how we're going to pay attention to the Constitution. What did George W. Bush say? He wasn't going to be held responsible by a goddamn piece of paper. That's just part of the problem is, the neocons introduced that political concept to America, and there's enough idiots, okay, mainly, in the, the Midwestern states that believe that, all right? So, yes, what we want to do is we want to bring back America for Americans. You've got that right, okay? And hell, I don't even have to have a special hairdo and a bright red face and a big belly to even say that, okay? So that's my take on this whole issue of healthcare, the drug epidemic, okay, the pedophile rings that are basically extorting politicians' favors, okay. That's what I feel today. All right. So that's what I have to say, Luca. Thank you.
It's good to hear your voice again. It's good to have you tell us straight. And we're at the end of the show, so we have to let you go. That was Greg's rant for tonight. We're probably going to give you a little bit more of mine on the way out of this program. Thanks again, Greg, and we'll see you next time. And we'll finish with my rant that I did this morning, a little bit more of it, just to let people know where we're at. Thank you, Greg. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Okay. Thank you so much, Luca, and thank your listeners.
Well, guess what? This is what our CIA does. They're behind Sandy Hook, San Bernardino, you name it, Waco, Boston bombing, 9/11. Both world wars were funded on both sides by the elite. They're having fun. It's like a chess game from Europe. Who cares, right? So that means that they don't care about us either. Every single one of us has that little that little sliver of a chance to do something about it. Just like me, live right now. Imagine if everybody went live and started talking like this right now. It's not about me. It's not about fame or fortune. It's about us right now. It's about everybody. It's about what's going to happen to us if we don't wake up.